Hello everyone. Hopefully this is working, you can see and hear me. Let me know in the chat if that's the case, so I'm not talking to myself. How's everyone doing? Good day, Dick. Hi, Chris. Not sure I can promise you that one, I'm afraid. Afternoon, Rob. Happy Mario Melchior Day, everyone. What's up, Brian? I mean, how did you guys not know that Melchior was going to hit a hat-trick? Come on, guys. That was the most obvious move of the season. I'm, of course, being facetious. What? Utter jam. Hello, Pirlo's beard. When me and Andy looked at that, I was like a giggling schoolgirl. Could not believe it. Congrats on the 1,000 points. Cheers, Adam. The luck's going to run out. There's no chance I'm getting hatties every week. Adam English has got him as well, has he? See? We know what we're doing, Adam. These guys, they can't keep up, can they? With our elite tactics. Melchior gives me hope that any one of no hopers could smash it any given week. Yep, that's a good point, Cobbler. Picking those captains and getting a bit of luck, that's basically the game right now. Lucky son of a bitch, he says. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. I mean, on that note, I wonder how many times you would need to re-sim, if that was even a thing, to actually get a Melchior hat-trick. Me and Andy would have probably had to have sat here for, well, until I was about 90 years old. That alone tells you it doesn't happen. Fellow Melchior owners rise up. Whee. FPL Panic got Melchior in a free hit. Wow. Well, to be fair, home to Derby, according to my Sims, was a nailed-on clean sheet, so that's what I was expecting. Right. It's been obviously a good double game week. I took hits to get Henry, just basically to be, in case he played both, basically. The fact he didn't play one, which is what I thought might happen, but he still managed to get a hat-trick in that one game, I think it's kind of lucky. I know he was still a good captain, but on my Sims he wasn't the best captain in any individual day. Viduka was. So my original plan, and I did toss and turn on this a lot, was to have Viduka as captain, to keep Dyer in, who actually scored. And I would have still done pretty good, because obviously Melchior gave me the absolute jam. However, I took a hit to take Dyer out, to then captain Henry, and then he only appeared in one. Had I known he was only going to appear in one, there's no way I would have gone for him, and then I would have missed out on the hat-trick. And that's the thing, if the team leak, me and Andy obviously did the sim together, if we'd have put the team leak that Henry doesn't play in the second game, or the entire team's rotated, basically no one would have gone for him. Me included, if I'd have known beforehand. So I think it's a little bit lucky. I mean, yeah, in it to win it, you got to cover him. It could happen, it's Henry, but he could have easily have blanked in that game, I think, and then that would have been one of the most disappointing moves ever, especially if you took hits to get there. That's the point, I think. If you're on a free hit or it was an easy one transfer, you'd obviously just get Henry. But using a -8 to get there was a big risk, and in the end, it obviously paid off. Jeffers obviously turned out to be a good pick as well, despite not starting. So let's review this. We've got lots of stuff to get through, guys. Lots and lots of information. So in the first game, Arsenal battered Charlton. This was largely to be expected. Henry finally doing something. Obviously having some shots on target is a help, because he hasn't been doing that for much, for many of his games recently. Tikhonov seems to be some sort of double game week legend as well. Not even nailed, but in the double game weeks he seems to play both, and he always seems to come out with points. So fair play if you went there again, repeating the pattern. And Van Bronckhorst continued his great form with an assist here. So I think he was a really good pick. Obviously any of the defenders were standouts, and in the end I think Lee Dixon played both, was the only one who did. And if I remember rightly, he actually banked the clean sheet this week, because he's come off just before West Ham have scored. So Dixon's actually come out with a double clean sheet. He's the only Arsenal player to do so, the cheapest one. And believe it or not, I weighed up doing Ian Hart to Lee Dixon for another -4, I'm glad I didn't in the end, because people would definitely think I'm cheating. I'm so happy I didn't. But yeah, dispatched of, basically. Henry, can we count on him now? Let's see. Ray Parlour scored 15, Pillow said. Yeah, he might have. I think he got points in both as well. If I remember rightly, it's Parlour, Tikhonov, Dixon and Seaman. Are they the only 4 that played both games? Or played all the minutes, or most of the minutes in both games anyway, I think. Obviously Adams ended up being a great shout as well if anyone went there with a goal and clean sheet. Fair play. Right, let's go to Villa Fulham. Again, this is another disappointment from Fulham, who up until recent times had obviously been a very exciting team, but of late, out of these 4 games here, you've got quite a few with not that many goals. Obviously the Bolton 1-3-1, the standout, but the rest of them have been 1 and 2, which is not like Fulham at all. I think they're in the relegation zone now as well. But they had more shots here than Villa, and Villa obviously just scored from the off and then went a bit defensive. Bosco Balaban's been quietly doing okay still. Not sort of out of this world, but he's been doing okay. Afternoon, James. And Mellberg's stats seem to be pretty good as well. I think Mellberg's coming back into it. Every week I sort of seem to notice him doing pretty well on the key stats, and Villa's, I don't think Villa's fixtures are all that bad. I think they're okay. So as a 4.5, I kind of like Mellberg a little bit now. I think he could be a reasonable option. Steve Stone is a legend. My old man supports Villa, so he'd probably agree with you there. And as for Fulham, obviously quite a few of their new signings. We didn't expect Stephen Foster to play, but he came straight in at centre-back. Is that just because of the new signing thing? Or will he stay there? To be honest, I'm not sure on that. There's also Wadado, I think, wasn't 100%, was he? He's not 100%, so I would still expect Wadado to come back in, but I guess you never know, right? And then Coleman played for the first time. So Fulham's defence was much changed, but obviously didn't change the outcome too much. Saha did pretty good here, winning quite a few headers. Didn't have any shots, but he's getting more and more game time up front. So again, the forward spots seem to be so precious, but he could be a cheeky differential. James saying Wadado is still at the seaside. They do great ice cream cones there, to be fair. Bubblegum flavour for the win. Now, couldn't wait to click this one. Derby, not a single shot on target. Derby scoring hardly any goals at all in my 20 sims, so yeah, wasn't too surprised with that. Melchiot with the hat-trick, unbelievable. Gallas also with the assist. I think I actually said last stream that Chelsea's fullbacks seem to have been bombing on, and I really think in this formation, especially when they have the 2 long arrows, so usually at home, the fullbacks must have individual instructions on, like run with ball, run into forward runs, etc. We don't get to see them, unfortunately, but it's almost without question at this point that that's happening. I mean, if you look at the goals here, Forsell got right up a goal, Melchiot got the rebound and scored, so he's in the box in the 24th minute for some reason, not even a free kick. This one here, Gallas curls it in at the near post, Melchiot got up to head the ball and scored, so both the fullbacks right up the pitch. And then even the third goal, it didn't go down as a Gallas assist, but Gronka tried to find Gallas with a forward pass. Gallas delivered the ball in from wide, and then Melchiot played a 1-2 with Stanic, and then he scored. So Gallas was up there again. So I think both fullbacks, I mean, Melchiot's only got 12 for finishing here. But he's still managing to bang hatties. And if you actually look at, I did this earlier, if you look at Chelsea for their last few games, not this one, so even away to Charlton, Melchiot obviously scored in this game as well, so bombing forward there. 4-1 at Leicester, Melchiot got an assist here. Gallas again played an 8 on the left. This game, I don't think they didn't do anything. Oh no, Gallas still got an assist in the 4-0. Playing at left back, sorry. And then in this 1-0 over West Ham, Babayaro scored from left back. So it's been a while now, and even Keenan, who's terrible, who played at left back one game, he scored as well. So I think when Babayaro comes back, I mean, he's actually a better attacking fullback than Melchior is. He's not fully back yet. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the points, so he's a good shout. The problem with Chelsea's fixtures right now is they now go away to Liverpool and home to Leeds. So I don't think really anyone should be looking at them necessarily, but at the end of the day, if they're going to get goals, maybe they can cover it, right? I certainly wouldn't be looking to bring him in for these two, but after that, one of Babiara or Melchior looks pretty good. They're not completely nailed because obviously when Babiara comes back, Gallas can play anywhere across the back line. So there is that, but I think you can kind of take the punt. Interesting as well, Melchior actually has 0 for penalties, which means he gets a random figure. Those of you who run Sims will know that occasionally Melchior pops up with penalties. Now usually Carboni and Petit are ahead of him, but not always, and this is CM, so stuff gets rotated. So imagine if Melchior banged a couple of penalties in this game as well. It's just madness. Anyway, I've banged on about that to death. The other factor, sorry for this, that really helps, I think, Chelsea's fullbacks is look at Derby's formation. They've got one person on the wing, basically, who's asked to cover the entire wing. Now, I know these centre-backs drift out to try and cover a little bit, but it just leaves a massively wide 3 at the back, which is no good. So they've just had completely free reign. The likes of Carboni and Zenden are obviously occupying Johnson and Dino, and then the Melchiots and Gallas's have just got the complete freedom of the pitch. So I think that really aided them in this game. Well, it definitely aided them. Melchior just did as he pleased. Alex saying it's like a child designed it. But there we go. Giddy from that. Let's move on. Man United and Tottenham. Man United at home, basically, it's near enough a guaranteed win every time they play at home, or should be. Had most of the play. Didn't completely destroy Tottenham, but obviously ended up with a 3-1. Van Nistelrooy lasted the full 90. Got his standard 8 or 9 at home and a goal. That's like his baseline, I think, at home, so well played. If anyone went early for him. Dwight York with the goal and assist. It's beyond a joke now, guys, right? Look at this form from this guy. And I'm just going to show you this. In all competitions, I've got a tweet going out soon. And this is a game I'm just going to skip ahead and show you. So they also played in the League Cup already. So they are through in the League Cup. They won 5-2. This is the team they put out. It's mostly a B team. But Dwight York again with the man of the match and the goal here. Van Nistelrooy was rested. So, if we look at Dwight York's form now, goal, man of the match 8 in this game. 8 assist and goal in this game. This is Fenerbahce, they played 10, 2 goals. This is the only game he's done nothing in about the last 7 or 8. He got a 7 here, but Man United lost and none of them did anything. Fulham, goal 8. Sunderland, goal 8. I think that's where it started, is it? And he's still got an 8 here against Blackburn 1-1, which I think was the beginning of it. Yeah. So basically, in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, he's scored in 6 of them, I think, and he's got an average rating of over 8. Andy saying Alexander at Preston. What is that? The manager, is it? David Mitchell. Was that a player? Not sure what you're talking about. Yeah, so I think genuinely now, Dwight York, I mean, I had him at the beginning of the season, a lot of people did. He's 7 million for a Man United forward. If you can't get to Van Nistelrooy or you don't want to, it's not even a question now. He is a legitimate option. He always was before. It's just that somehow, by sheer fluke, he couldn't score a single goal. But now he's obviously fully up and running. Van Nistelrooy did his usual million-headed attempts at home. Who on earth is Kevin Moffat? They signed him. He's like a young kid. He doesn't start with them. He obviously has quite high potential or something. I think he's from Belgium. And Spurs here. Chris Perry did okay. They obviously put in the Ginger Pele, Doherty, instead of King at the back. And he's already got an attacking return, despite playing at centre-back. 4.5 defender. Still one to potentially watch. I do think he'll be rotated, but we've already mentioned he could go up front, he could do all sorts. So if you're looking for cheeky differentials who could get attacking returns, he's certainly one of them. Yeah, I know what you're saying, James. York over a premium. I mean, at the end of the day, if York can keep up with them, then you've saved the money. You can have loads in midfield, right? You can have Scowcroft, Dyer, etc. So I still think it is a valid option. The problem is if he suddenly stops doing anything and the premiums continue, right? But I certainly think at this stage it's worth a look. I mean, remember, these guys have put the prices on these people. You know, York isn't necessarily a 7 million player. Van Nistelrooy isn't necessarily a 13. It's phantom prices we've put on them, isn't it, at the end of the day? It doesn't necessarily mean anything. I have had sims where York's banged 20 goals. Let's go Middlesbrough, Liverpool. Liverpool, thoroughly the better side here. Middlesbrough failed to get a single shot on target, which is just shocking, isn't it, really, at home? No one did anything of note. The only people that really stood out, Fester had a few headers and a few tackles. He didn't quite win them all. He's playing at centre-back this game. And Jonathan Greening still managed a 7. I do think if you are going to be targeting any Middlesbrough attack whatsoever, he's the standout pick now for me, playing on that right wing. So he occasionally will be going up front for Rickard. I think he's 6 million or something. I personally wouldn't be going there at all, but if you are, I think Greening's probably the one. Everyone's saying Barra's finished. I largely agree. It's just a consistent thing now. The thing is, as soon as they have a good game, they can come back, and they're away to Spurs next, which isn't great, but then they're home to Fulham in 16th, so you wouldn't be surprised to see their assets returning in that one, and home to Bolton. I think home to Villa as well. So if you've got the likes of Fester, obviously you can still get a penalty any game as well, so I still think he's valid, but the rest of them probably not. Oh, it's 7 million for Greening. Okay, maybe a little bit much, especially when you've got the likes of Bowyer. Ekyog leaving's hurt them bad, Graham says. Yeah, I agree. Boxic been terrible. He was a very, very up and down player in my sims at the beginning of the season. He could go from 20 something goals to 6, and it looks like he's on a 6th one. There you go. And he promised so much more at the start, I think. Won't spend too much time here because I don't think many people have any of these players. Bolton were dreadful though. Southampton, unfortunate not to win by more. 60% of the possession, absolutely battered them. The goal only came from Taha. They played Delap up top, which probably didn't help them. If they actually play, I mean, if they'd have played Beattie, I think I said last stream that one game soon he's going to get 2 or 3 goals. He probably would have got it in this game. I mean, almost certainly. So they just almost tried to kill their chance of a win. But they still managed to get it in the end. Klaus Lundegvan was very, very good as well. Probably would have been man of the match if Taha didn't score. Svensson, our owner's a little bit unlucky. Still got an 8 and bonus, but probably would have expected an attacking return here, and then he picked up an injury. As for Bolton, they stuck Per Fransen into AMC, and he managed to play a 4. Good effort, mate. Stephen Young continues to play in centre midfield and do okay, despite him largely being dreadful. I don't really know what their thinking is here. These caps for under 21 level obviously boosted his reputation. And Pedersen's another one who's pretty much fallen off a cliff, hasn't he? He was fantastic. I think he was at about 10 goals, maybe 10 games ago or something, close to it. It's just a string of 6 and 7s, which is unfortunate. The thing is, I do think Bolton have got good games coming up, haven't they? Yeah, so they're home to Ipswich, away to Villa. So the games are there for them to turn it around. Afternoon, James. How good is Caceres? He's pretty shite. But nearly every Southampton player's shite. West Ham and Leicester. As you can see here, Leicester yet again not getting the result their performance deserved. Should have easily won this game, really. They had more of the ball as well, which is a rare thing away. And 8 shots on target. Shaka Hislop, who came in for James, basically probably kept them in this. and they got obviously a lucky penalty from Di Canio. Taggart almost held on to the clean sheet as well. I played him this week, not on purpose, through basically default, had to. Wasn't expecting anything, but in the end it wasn't that big of a haul because obviously got the yellow and conceded, but obviously take the goal all day. Dennis Wise with the master corner yet again. Wise tried an in-swinging corner. Wise looked to send a hanging ball over. It's these hanging balls that he's just ridiculously good at, just floated. And Taggart just comes up with the bullet headers. But yeah, I think if you went Sturridge, who is prone to these early subs, but that's usually if it's not going their way. You know, if they score or do well at the beginning or Leicester are ahead, you wouldn't expect to see that. He still had a lot of shots here. Some of them were wayward. And Scowcroft will always, every week we see this, headed attempts. Doesn't always win a lot of them, but he's always the target from open play. So I still think Scowcroft, Sturridge, Wise, moving forward, especially for their good run, are real good picks. It's almost really good that they've been kept under the radar because they've not been doing that well as picks, and neither of the team. But the sort of stats show that Leicester are, in form, so to speak. Look at these games ahead: Derby, Charlton, Southampton, Blackburn, Sunderland. That's a nice run, isn't it? Everton and Leeds in this game. Leeds rarely kept a clean sheet in my sims, and as we can see here, I think Everton should probably have scored more shots. Triple the amount on target, and close to double in general. Also, a little bit more of the play. So, a bad day at the office. Basically, Leeds have got Viduka. These guys have got Kevin Campbell. I think that's pretty much the story of this game. David Unsworth was very, very good at the back here. He didn't make all of his tackles, but he still made 3 key ones, and he won every single header. So a good performance from him. Duncan Ferguson came off the bench, despite being injured, I believe, still. So he's still out 3 weeks with a broken foot, look. Because he was out for months, and they still risked him bringing him on. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're thinking. It's basically, he is going to be if he starts next week or comes off the bench again, there's no way he's lasting the game. He's out for the season now, pretty much, as far as I'm concerned. And Leeds, Harry Kewell, who I've got, he had 3 shots, still did nothing and got a 7, which is depressing. But he possibly could have got something here, I think. A little bit unlucky. The Simon Johnson subbing in on the 18th minute is just classic CM. Robbie Keane had 3 passes in the game after 18 minutes. I mean, it's quite obvious. Everton were having the better of the play. They were dominating it. They were the better team. And CM did its classic thing of, we're not doing well here. I'm going to sub off one of my forwards and try and change things up. So it could have been Viduka that they did it. You never know. It just happened to be Keane. And it obviously works. So who am I to question their tactics? Jonathan Woodgate, a little bit unlucky as well. Yeah, Kewell couldn't hit the target. It's a lot of money to spend on no one doing nothing, isn't it? Andy's saying Leicester need to win at least 2 of the next 4, otherwise I think they'll get relegated. Yeah, I mean, I've got to back them to win some of those games because I'm a pure matchup and fixtures man, and I think that they should be. Newcastle versus Blackburn. As you can see here, and I took a brave punt myself, I took out Dyer and Shearer for a -4 in order to get Henry. Should have taken out Kewell or Selakovic, but there we go. They only managed 1 shot on target in the entire match at home. Didn't even have most of the play, and the 1 shot obviously came from Dyer on target, and it was a goal. Who's banging form, isn't he? Shearer no shots, caught 1 off target. Chettle 1 off target. So that's a big concern. Blackburn rolled out this 7-2-1. That's why I kind of decided I was going to keep Phillips instead of Shearer, because I didn't like the games after this for Newcastle, and I preferred Sunderland's, and I thought in this game there's a chance I can get away with it. Yeah, Chettle's at it again. He got an 8 and he almost got a shot. He did really well in the key stats here. I do think he's probably the best 4.5 defender you can get now. I mean, we assume he's on pens. This is CM. They could switch it back round to Shearer, but it looks like he's at least in the frame. So I do really, really like him. But yeah, bad day at the office. Now also Solano got injured. which now means that when we look at how long for, Dyer could now find himself on the right wing again, which is, I mean, he's good in centre midfield as you saw from the double, but I think he's even better or more consistent from the right wing. So maybe he gets a little bit better. (3-1) Ipswich Sunderland. Red card for Holland obviously changed the game a little bit, but as you can see here, Sunderland gave as good as they got. They actually had 57% of the ball. Again, rare thing away from home. So probably aided a lot there by the red card, to be fair. Would have been closer to 50-50. But Tarico finally coming good. Assist and a goal for him. I think owners of him have been very, very unlucky. I mean, I had him over Hreidarson for all of the season. I haven't owned Hreidarson at all. And it's finally started to come after I've finally got rid of him. But maybe we can expect some more. Maybe he'll kick into gear here. It's still pretty good returns for a 4.5. Decent bonus. Man of the matches, assists, goals. Maybe there's more in it for him. That's about it really to speak about these guys. Gunnarsson had an okay debut. Not sure whether he'll stay in the team though. We shall see. And as for Sunderland, it's just this Kevin Phillips is able to get these shots on goal in any game with his off the ball stats. Off the ball anticipation, etc. is all high. It all seems to be increasing quite good. Even finishing seems to have gone a little bit higher, I think. He's coming up to peak age now. Striker's peak age in this game, I think, is 28 from memory. So he's basically hitting his absolute prime. It's not 28 for everyone, but that's like in the manual it would say 28 is roughly the peak age of a striker. So everyone peaks at different ages. But as a general rule, you could say that Phillips is now in his peak. So yeah, he even won a few headers, Phillips, which doesn't normally do so well at. Arca again with the 8. He's just been great. Do like him again this week. Billy's saying the week I shipped Tarico out. Mate. That's not good, is it? Rob Reed's message was flagged for review. Blackburn could be so good if they attacked. YouTube doesn't like that. It's obviously a Blackburn fan. It's malicious behaviour, that. Arsenal and West Ham. West Ham, surprisingly, 5 shots on target, so probably good for their 1 goal. Much of that will be down to the fact that Arsenal's, I mean, they've got Greg Oates at left back. Who the hell is this? They've got Gramondi, who was terrible in real life, centre back. Keown, who's 35. I mean, he's still good, to be fair to him. And then Dixon at 37 at right back. So I think that aided West Ham's cause. They decided to play Wiltord despite him recently being hated by absolutely everyone and making the whole squad unhappy. But Wenger doesn't care about that. He's willing to give him a chance. He's one of his French Foreign Legion. So he thought he'd give him a go. Michael Den with Captain Jeffers. Fair play. I'm glad that was rewarded because I did really like Jeffers for this double. I thought he'd definitely get 1 because I thought there'd probably be rep 12 involved. But there was a chance to get 2. The only problem that put a lot of people off, and me included, was the fact that Bergkamp had been playing virtually every game in the lead up to it. But when Jeffers plays, he can get goals. He's got the stats for the Fox in the box. We've seen the off the ball like Phillips, the finishing. He's a good player, the acceleration. And usually when Henry and Jeffers play, Jeffers actually gets the goals. It's similar to like the Andy Cole and Van Nistelrooy thing, where Andy Cole will get the goals and Henry becomes more of the creative forward. So glad you got your haul in the end from him. And there's ticking off again, just picking up bonus, somehow coming in to play both the games. And Lee Dixon, yes, sub 82nd minute here, and they scored in the 84th. Wasn't he facing off to Adams? Yeah, Wiltord was, yeah. He obviously won that battle and got a game. I mean, half the players that West Ham are putting out on a regular basis. The fact that Repka didn't play in the first one's an absolute killer for owners as well. You obviously wanted him in the first game, and then they throw him out, lambs to the slaughter for the second game. Probably blocking bench points. It's really unfortunate. I mean, look at this team they're playing, though, West Ham. What do they really expect? They're playing Don Hutchison, who's an attacking midfielder, forward centre, as probably their most defensive midfielder. They've also got Joe Cole, an attacking midfielder, left centre. So their entire 4 across midfield are attacking midfielders, 2 strikers, and then they're playing, aside from Repka, a bunch of clowns at the back, with probably one of the worst keepers in the game. It's just a recipe for the disaster. So, I think that's our review done then, guys. I did already show you the League Cup game, didn't I? I don't think there was any cup. We already did that, didn't we? Yeah. And we already looked at this, which Man United have now beaten Preston, are in the final. So Man United versus Liverpool on the 31st of March is the League Cup final. And I'm just going to click through the fixtures so you can see what that's done. So this would be 29, which is obviously we're second now. We're about to play 29. Ready for when we go through the teams. Liverpool, Chelsea, Sunderland and Newcastle have an extra day's recovery, 7 to 8% condition on them. Blackburn and West Ham have 2 days recovery. So then we have a big break here. And these are the games in 30. So no blanks, no doubles. Another big break, and these are the games in 31. Where I think, do we now have a double or not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We play on the Wednesday. No, I don't think that is a double, but is it? Man U, Bolton, Liverpool, Everton. So no, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I don't see any of these in this part. So that's part of the same game week, and they've just been moved to the Wednesday. Is that right? Stop me if I'm wrong. But it looks like no blank for Liverpool, which was a possibility, I think. And then we're on to games which don't have a date yet. Adam's saying the League Cup final teams are moved to midweek. Okay. So that explains it then. Right, let's get into the team news. Yeah, Brendan's saying they've all nudged the League Cup teams to Wednesday is all. Okay. That's good, so no more blanks and doubles. Adam's saying, will be a blank for United if they get through in the Champions League though, which does look pretty likely, doesn't it? Just remind yourselves of the Champions League. Man United are top. Their next game is home to Rangers, which Rangers are bottom. You'd expect them to win that one, and that pretty much should see them through, as Fenerbahce are playing Lazio, which you wouldn't expect them to win. So, yeah, obviously you can't count our chickens yet, but there's always a good chance that's going to happen. Right, I'm not going to lie, guys, there is quite a lot of injury news. However, a lot of it isn't necessarily to some of the popular players, but obviously with the African nations as well, quite a few players have now returned. In fact, if I just go into the African nations, it's probably easier for you to see what's gone on. So Algeria and Egypt are in the final, so their players won't be back. Nigeria beat Cameroon 3-0 yesterday. Akinbayi. So those guys will be back either today or tomorrow. I think we'll have a look in a minute. I think Kanu was still out, so potentially tomorrow he comes back. Algeria beat Cameroon, Egypt beat Nigeria. So all of these other teams, their players are now back. Or at least should be. But we'll see it as we go through the teams. Check the Champions League schedule, Andy's saying. Okay, let me do that. Here it is for you fixture bods. I can never get my head around it. So the quarterfinals are on the 3rd of April. Second legs on the 17th. Semis have got the 2 legs on the 1st of May, the 8th of May, and the finals on the 22nd of May. Make sense? Hopefully so. Andy's saying, so United have quarter-final of Champions League in game week 31. Right. So that should force a blank. But don't take my word for it. Obviously the guys will be tweeting out all the information. Ben Crellin will already do his planner, etc. Adam's confirming that, so it looks good. United likely to bank in 31. As you can see then, Kanu's not quite back yet, so despite the game being yesterday, he probably will appear tomorrow. Arsenal's game is today, however, so he is going to be out for this one. Upson is injured, he's out for 3 weeks. That was already the case, I believe. Luzhny is still 10 days away. These guys don't play. And Lauren, Kanu are still out. In terms of percentages, Jeffers is probably the only one of note at 93%. These guys are all unhappy because they're pissed off at Wiltor. Planet FPL James saying the double is likely to be in 32. So yeah, United are probably blank in 31 and then doubled in 32 is the thinking at the moment. Not confirmed, but something to have in the back of your mind. So apart from that, Arsenal are very, very good. Albertini's 1 yellow away from getting a ban. Ashley Cole is still 1 yellow away from getting a ban. I'm not sure when the cut-off for that is. And that's Arsenal. So they've largely escaped. Aston Villa for sale is 3 weeks. Juan Pablo Angel again is injured, or at least an Aston Villa forward. They seem to be getting injured quite a lot, aside from Balaban. He's out for 2 weeks. And Dion Dublin's a few days with strained knee ligaments, so they may play him orange, although he's also 83%, so perhaps they look for an alternative option, not that they've got much, because Vassell's obviously injured as well. I mean, they could look to one of their kids, but I would expect they'll probably just force Dublin in. Not that anyone's particularly looking at Villa, I suspect. Everyone else is okay. On to Blackburn, and they have largely avoided any dramas. Curtis is still 1 yellow away from being banned. Everyone else is 100%, apart from the So, who is 10 days with a twisted knee. I think they might have played him orange, and he picked up another injury because he was injured again recently, so he picked it up in that game, I'm fairly sure. Yeah, Planet FPL James saying United will qualify. You would strongly suspect so. I know they've got lots of injuries, but United and Roma are basically the 2 best teams in this game, Season 1, by a long distance, and it is often the Champions League final, or close, depending on when they meet each other in the draw. Yeah, their squad's just generally too good, determination, everything, and usually they don't have injuries because they've all got incredibly low injury proneness and high natural fitness. But obviously this season's not been the case. But you would expect Man United would win. That's basically your default position. On to Bolton. Again, another team who have largely avoided any injuries here. They are mostly all good to go. Norris, who doesn't play, is a few days away. Gardner's still 100. Pedersen is 100. They're the main 2, aren't they? And Cooper's 1 yellow away from a ban. They're probably the only 3 players of interest. Apart from maybe him. Is he 4.5? I mean, if he is, he's playing quite a few games and seems to be doing okay, so I suppose he could be of interest. Charlton, and very, very annoying for owners. I am one of them. Wilcox, he's orange flagged, but he's on 10%. That stub toe has basically turned into an amputated leg. He's out for about a week with a stub toe. He's at 10%. 90% of his leg is missing. He is not playing. I think I can be quite confident in saying he will not be featuring. If I remember. So he's had a stubbed toe back here in training in April, a strained wrist here. He stubbed his toe here, and this is a new stubbed toe because it's a reoccurrence because he did it whilst playing Orange in the last game. So that toe, it just needs to come off. Get rid, mate. You don't need it. He will not be playing, which is sad because I think they're home to Southampton, aren't they? So kind of a game you really would want to play him in. As we've seen already, the likes of John Robinson and Andy Reid likely to fill in for him. One of those two. Kichyshev is 2 weeks with a twisted knee. That was a new injury. So they're down a right back. Parker is still a few days with a thigh strain. That's probably pretty good because it means if you've got Jensen like me, I mean, he's seemed to be pretty nailed anyway, but I'll now be playing Jensen in this fixture at home to Southampton when I probably would have played Wilcox. McAllister's also 100%. His condition obviously isn't always like that. Bartlett is now back at 100%. He's one of my tips for the week, actually. I'm going to be putting a tweet out. Now he's back, I think he could be good for this fixture. But yeah, everyone else is good. Shitu's still away on international, actually. It's Nigeria. They're still in the cup, I believe. Chelsea. Condition-wise, some of their lesser assets are not particularly good. Babayaro is still away, 85% anyway. Desai is 2 weeks with a twisted knee, injured during training. I can't remember if that's a new injury or not. Did he play last match? He did play last match, so it's again another new injury. Really, really unfortunate because I mean Scanlon might went him, I know that for sure, but you might have held him. I mean the fixtures are pretty bad after this derby, but he's now injured as well. So yeah, that means that there's a chance, for example, because Babayaro's still out, Gallas could come into centre back maybe, and therefore they play that Keenan kid at left back. Melchior could come into centre back, and they could play Ferreira at right back or Ferreira at centre back. The defence will be a little bit changed, but anyway, the game is away to Liverpool, which is generally a dreadful game. Iron saying, why is Melchior a defender right? He's a striker. Yes, he is. With his 12 finishing. Banging them in. So yeah, Chelsea in a bit of a predicament there defensively, but I don't think they were keeping a clean sheet this game anyway. Good Johnson's a few days away with a calf strain. Yeah, Max saying probably Melchior at centre back and Ferreira right back. Yeah, could be. They've also dropped in this Keenan kid, but he's 87%, so maybe not. Yeah, if you've got Chelsea assets, I mean, I'll be looking to bench mine. Even though Melchior to score a hat-trick, I'll be benching him against Liverpool. You know, whether he comes onto the pitch as a result of rotation is another thing, but that's my intention. Everyone else is okay. You can all rewatch the video, Runnerid, but Arsenal didn't have any injuries of note, I don't remember. I don't think anyway. Just Upson and Luzhny were the main ones. African nation players still there. Chelsea play tomorrow. They get one extra day, Andy. So yeah, Keenan, that's a good point actually. Keenan will be on 7 or 8% added to that, so 95-ish or something for him. So he's more of a chance he could play, I guess. Derby, again, another team largely untouched. I know people have still got a hangover from the doubles, but Valakari's 100%. Makoku's 98. Who else is popular? Poom's 100. Everyone else is 100. Christie, etc. Burley as well. So, yeah. I don't think... I mean, home to Leicester's a pretty good game, actually. So, you can go ahead and play those guys, I think. Everton, this team's been stung a little bit. Gravison suspended, that's probably the main one. He's one of their better players, obviously. He's out for 3 weeks with an injury, but he's also on a 3-match ban for a red card. So he's hit the double whammy. He is double out. Gaza's still 84%. He's still not recovered yet. He feels he's been victimised by his manager. I think he's on a wobbler now, isn't he, Gaza? I think it's lost his head a bit, sadly. That might be him for the season now. Sad times. Duncan Ferguson they're throwing in, as we just saw. He is 90%, so they can do that, but he was out for 3 weeks with a broken foot, so his foot's not far off broken, yet they're still throwing him in. Expect him to get injured if he plays. Joe Max Moore is 3 weeks with a calf strain. And Gerrard is 2 weeks, knee ligaments, doesn't really play. Yeah, sad times for Gaza, everyone's favourite player. Also, I'm glad I noticed this because I did forget until now. This is where the Georgian has ended up. Not the team you probably wanted him to go to. Tamuri Ketspire though, coming from Wolves. He's a forward centre. His attributes, again, whilst they look okay, there's one of these people who's just got a spread across the whole, all of the attributes, and it doesn't necessarily mean he's that good. It looks better to the eye, but it's a bit misleading because obviously he hasn't got high stats in the key areas that he needs them. However, he's obviously good at heading, although his jumping's not that good, so he doesn't often win the headers. Determination is high, which is very good. Nice. He's got bravery and aggression, which you don't really want for a forward, but everyone who knows Ketspire know he had that, so they got that bit right. He'll be getting stuck in. Could be red cards there. But his passing's okay. That's pretty good. His flair's okay. His strength is okay. His technique is okay. His work rate is okay. So he's more of a passing midfielder than anything else. That's where you'd probably want to use him if you were managing him. His teamwork's quite low as well though. So he was playing for Wolves, and as you can see here, he got 4 goals, 3 assists in 32 games for them. 6.88, not great. However, Wolves, and I'm really sad that Dave Jones didn't actually come, because sometimes he comes to the Premier League. He actually plays some cool tactics, some of the better tactics in this game. Those of you who played this game know that the narrow formations are often very, very good. Not particularly for the AI, but they can be very, very good. So some of these fixtures, Ketspire was playing as an AMC for Everton. I mean, there's a chance he goes up top because they've got a lot of their forwards out, but normally he plays in the AMC or the midfield centre role. So I think if they play their classic, I mean that's one of the ones they could play actually. I think you'll probably play here instead of Gaza, for example. Although they have got the injuries up front, so maybe not. Or when it's this formation, he'll probably be in midfield. And I think they've kindly priced him at 5 million, which is a teasing price, maybe. But he's a 5 million midfielder. They've been quite generous, I think, to try and tease you into an Everton asset who could play AMC or even up front. So yeah, one to think about maybe, especially if we're on wildcard and you were looking at the likes of Bishkan, who gets rotated quite a lot now that all their players are back. It's a decent price, I think. Away to Fulham, home to Sunderland. Some okay games in there. I think the thinking there was, you've got the likes of Stolzers and Wilcox at 5.5 and they're very, very good. So you can't really price them the same as that, so they've just gone one below. Okay, Fulham. Nearly everyone's 100. Hales is still injured for 10 days. Wadadu is about a week with a damaged shoulder, 90%. Everyone else is pretty good. Malbronk's annoyed at the manager. Marley's annoyed but wants to stay. Can they get out of it? Ipswich. Titus Bramble, who I believe went off injured in the last game, is out for 10 days with a twisted knee. Ipswich getting a little bit unlucky with their injuries at the moment. Kumas is 1 day away, 90%, so could feature. Fanidi's still away on international duty. Hariderson is back, ready to engage cheat mode. Who's he playing? Away to Bolton. I mean, the way Bolton are playing, you never know. Could see bonus in that one again. I really hope not. But we could. And that's it for Ipswich. Leeds, another injury to add to them is Woodgate, who got injured in the game. He's out for 2 weeks with knee ligaments. So that's a blow. Obviously Ferdinand is still 10 days with ankle ligaments as well. So you would expect Radaby and Dewberry, who I think came on to play at centre half here. Ian Hart is still 10 days. He's red, thankfully, so they won't try and throw him in early. And McPhail is actually now orange, so technically able to take to the pitch. He's 2 weeks away from coming back. However, he's at 5%, so he will not be playing. Stay away from the light, Rob Reed says. He's on life support. Yeah. Achilles tendon. But I guess the question has to be asked now that they have Berkovic and Bowyer is back. Where's he gone? And came straight back in with an assist. Will McPhail even be an option when he comes back? Because they've got a lot of rotation, and usually McPhail doesn't play all that often. He plays like 20 games a season, especially more at the start. So they've got a lot of options now in midfield. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, to be honest, I think his best chance of playing is if he just comes in and they bomb off Kuehl again, which was happening beforehand, which is a worry for me because I've got Kuehl. So I'll probably hold Kuehl maybe until that happens, and if that happens, then just get rid straight away and just swap direct to McPhail or something. I don't really know. But yeah, it's a bit of a minefield in that midfield. I mean, it was anyway, with Mabry getting favoured on the right wing as well a lot. You got Bakker, you got all sorts of options. Bit of a tease up. Batty's 1 yellow away from being suspended still. There is a transfer window, James Street. I believe it's definitely March. I think it might be the 31st of March. Someone else who plays this game quite a lot might be able to comment. I often spent most of my time playing in Italy. But I think it might be the 31st of March that it ends. Leicester, Akibai is still away on international duty. Impey is 10 days with knee cartilage, injured in a reserve game. Wise is 100, Taggart's 100, but he's 1 yellow away from a ban. That'll annoy me. Andy Martin saying yes, it's the end of March. Could be a few transfers coming. I mean, they've had it open this entire time. I don't think it quite works like deadline day stuff, but in real life. But there could be a few. Everton obviously got their cash injection, then they got Ketspire straight away, so maybe there's another one coming for them, for example. Scowcroft is also at 100. Do like him for the upcoming run, and Sturridge is at 100. Yeah, Edie's 3 months. He's not been a thing, has he? How long has he actually been out? I was a cruciate. Oh, I still managed to pick up a gash leg. Good effort. Just have to waltz into the training pitch and somehow you just get gash all over the place. Wire fencing surrounding the fields, I think. Yeah, that's a good point. Bosmans and stuff you can pick up. Contract ending people. I think most of them come in June, July when that happens, but there is a few at the end depending on the situation. Liverpool, Fowler's still injured, 3 weeks with knee cartilage. And most of their main team is fine. Hancho is 10 days with a twisted ankle, 84%. Technically could feature then. Wouldn't have thought he would though. Westerveld is now wanted, I noticed, by Blackburn, and this is an incredibly common transfer that happens. In fact, I'd put my money on it now to say Westerveld will be going Blackburn. it happens that often. He either goes to Real Madrid, believe it or not, or somewhere in Spain, sometimes different teams early, or ends up at Blackburn quite a lot. So I would expect that will happen in the coming days. But obviously might not. I can't remember what price Westerveld is, but he's actually a very, very good keeper in this game. So he will go straight in as the number 1 if that happens. And that's it for Liverpool. I say a lot of the injuries are sort of peripheral players. Is Westerveld 5, is he? Blackburn's still got a decent run, but Weatherall at 4.5 is probably still the best pick there, I think. Manchester United, Michael Stewart's 3 months. David May is 1 day. Ryan Giggs is still a week. He's 5%. He's also on life support. He's got like pig's blood being pumped into his calf. He will not be playing. Really annoyingly for me, because I signed this guy to play for these 2 games, Chadwick's on 89%. So I really do hope he takes to the field, but there's a chance he doesn't now, which is really annoying. Kind of planned for him for these 2 games, so that's a curveball. Dennis Irwin's 88. So that's probably good news if you're a Silvestre owner. Laurent Blanc is 1 yellow away from a ban. David Beckham is back 100%. In fact, they've got nearly all their team back now apart from Giggs, including Veron, 100%, no bans, ready to go. Ronnerid saying Scholes drop straight out for Veron. I mean, we've seen it all season. I would not be surprised. I mean, it is a home game to Villa, so potentially a lowish rep side. So there's always a chance that Man United can rotate. We know that happens in home to a lowish rep sides, but they're not they start actually quite high. Villa, I think it's 14 they start at, so I'd be surprised, but it can happen because Man United are 20, so there's a big difference there. However, as a general rule, Veron will come straight in for Scholes. Yes, I would have thought so. And I think it's a really good option again, especially when you've got the likes of Sturridge at 5.5, who could be up for a run. Again, he's going to be going out on one of my tweets for some recommended players to come up. I mean, looking at Man United's run, I know they've got Champions League and stuff, but Villa, Southampton, Bolton, Ipswich, Newcastle, Everton, Borough, who are basically dreadful now. That is a really, really good run to target. And I think the likes of Dwight York, Veron, the triple Man United's back on, basically. I think they're going to win the league. So, you know, Silvestre as well. I think that their options are, now that there's all these blanks and doubles, there are options. The only thing is this chance that they blank in that 31 and then double in 32. So anyone you get in potentially might not play that 31. That's the concern. But I think planning too far ahead in this game is a killer. I was doing it most of the first half of the season. Now I literally play 1 week ahead. And it's been really working for me. So I personally wouldn't even think about that 31 yet and think of the points you can get beforehand. Because anything can happen. Injuries, suspensions, you name it. But each to their own. Middlesbrough are really hammered. Curtis Fleming, gashed leg, 10 days. Ian Pearce, broken toe, about a week. Not even Stubbs, that one. Hanging off. Nemeth, 3 months, groin muscle. And Southgate, 1 week with a damaged foot. He's just over 70%, so they might force him in, which they really shouldn't do, but they might. Rickard is also 1 yellow from a ban. Job's still away on international duty. Tottenham away, though. I don't think many will be going there, but their defence looks ravaged. They're basically going to be relying on Festa again. Newcastle. Many injuries here, but not to first teamers in most cases. Andy O'Brien is out for a month, however, so he's been playing a reasonable amount here or there. Probably helps those who own Chettle. Obviously, Dabizas seems to have been firmly bombed off, so you imagine it's now Marcelino's basically a lock. So it's going to be Marcelino and Chettle, you would have thought, unless Dabizas somehow manages to force his way back in. But I think that's probably good news overall if you are a Chettle owner. Although Andy O'Brien's actually a pretty decent centre-half in this game. He's okay. But the big news is obviously Solano, who's only just come back. I think it was, what, like the 89th minute or something? He's now out for 3 weeks with an ankle ligaments. Incredibly harsh. Was about to blow the game, well, not wide open, but he was about to offer a incredible value again at 6 million. And he's out for 3 weeks. So where are we with the second? He's going to miss quite a few games here, isn't he? Sunderland, Liverpool. There is gaps, actually. So it might just end up being Sunderland, Liverpool, and potentially he's back here for the Leeds game away. He's not good value. He never plays, says Andy. He plays in this sim, and that's all that matters, Andy. But yeah, you're right. He was he's a player I was very, very hard to judge on sims. Being left out, right back occasionally, sold sometimes. So yeah, in the end, although it's a long-term injury, it might only be two games that Solano misses, which isn't the worst, I suppose. However, I think I mentioned it already. This probably means that Kieran Dyer will end up right wing, as was happening when he was out. So maybe a little bit less goal threat from him, but a higher assist threat. And he's a little bit, I think he's a little bit better playing right wing in the key stats than he even is in centre midfield. But to be fair, he's good everywhere. These attributes are just nuts. Which means, I guess, they could... I mean, Basilas is 1 yellow away from a ban as well. I forgot to mention that. It means they're probably going to bring this absolutely hopeless guy back into centre midfield and play Dyer right. Although they could play Kadamatri right wing and keep Dyer centre midfield. I suppose there's a chance of that. Although Kadamatri usually features up front for me. Galavan's only on 87%. He can occasionally come in at right back or right wing, so probably wouldn't, and that helps Barton here. Also helps Barton because Solano can also go right back. So the reason I didn't go Barton and I went Stubbs in the double was because of those reasons. I thought Barton was a chance of not playing 1 or 2 games for the rest of the season, but it's really helped his cause, I would say. I think it's, what, 3 clean sheets in a row for Newcastle now, so he's still good. Everyone on the edge of the seat waiting for Svensson news. Dun dun dun. That would be better and more dramatic if it actually came straight up, but let's pretend that didn't happen. Red flag. You're out of there. You're useless anyway. No one thinks you're any good, apart from the Wolfpack pod guys. That's a joke, by the way. He is a good player. Sometimes. He's out for 2 weeks. Knee ligaments. He's done. And as a result, Southampton's entire attack, aside from Beattie, is pretty much done. I mean, they got their goal from, despite playing very, very well the last game, they got their goal from a centre-back scoring. They're away to Charlton. You would hope that's a clean sheet for Kylie, right? Although it didn't seem to do that well in my Sims, which I'll show you guys in a minute. Southampton actually did find a way to score. Adam saying Q Rufus off the Butlins again. Could be. To give Beattie free reign of the field. And he's saying time to chuck in Letizia and have some magic. If only. He's only 33. This game plays players all the way up to sort of 37 years old. Throw him in for a few set pieces. Should do, shouldn't they? But no. Svensson is back from Man United at home, Rob Reed is saying. 2 weeks fixtures. Let's have a little look. He's going to miss Charlton. And then, yeah. So it might only be 1 game. You're right. 16th. Home, back for Man United at home. If he can get through those training pitches with his legs intact. Sunderland. Michael Gray is still 3 weeks away with that torn groin. He's 90%, however. Kilban is 82, very, very low. So yes, maybe Arca comes in at left wing, I hope, because I'm probably going to be buying him this week. Yeah, Medina's suspended for his red card for 1 match. And most of the other guys are fairly okay. Teal's a 92, Belly a 91. Varga's fairly low, Swartz is fairly low. So there's a few low here that can play. Craddock, not the most rested of sides. So I just read that, Irons. Put your money where your mouth is, mate. If you want to break that top 1 position, you got to go differential, yeah? Svensson captain home to Man United. I mean, I can assure you you're going to be the only one, so there is that. That's Sunderland done. Tottenham. Looking good. Nearly everyone's at 100. Ginger Pele's 96. King's still 1 yellow away, but he's 94. It's just Bodic who's injured. These guys, Everson's unhappy, wants a new contract. Ferdinand wants first team football, but no, Andy Rushbury's much better than you, mate. Keller wants a new contract. How's Effrington getting on loan? It's not doing too bad. 11 assists, 4 goals in 25 games. Take that all day, wouldn't you? Yes, so I think the main news is that Richards is back, right? I'm not sure he was back for last week. So Dean Richards is 100%. Andy's saying we missed Cliff Muldier Sunday. Yes. Forgive us for not picking out this absolute gem of a keeper that signed, but they signed him because Tota and the like were obviously not good enough for them, so they thought they'd add another horrific keeper to their never-ending stream. Jalal, Tota, Kelly, and now Marauder, possibly the worst 4 keepers in the game, all as backup for an okay keeper. Good business. West Ham after their double. Some people might have their players, I guess. Kamara's still 2 months away, injured. Carrick is 3 months with a torn groin in a reserve game. Lomas is 43%, out for 10 days with a dislocated jaw. Canute's 92, Cole's 96, Courtois 94, and Repka is 100. They're the main guys, aren't they? Di Canio's 100 as well. So West Ham are gravy. Is Hans Serger's Spurs keeper scout? He's on the take. It's one of their coaches. Judging player ability 11 for Wayne Wilson. He might be the guilty party. I thought that was Stuart Shithouse, but it's Whitehouse. It may as well be Shithouse. 14. 15. Yeah, scouts aren't great. The only important one for scouts is these two, and you need these both 20 really. Danny Hart with a 20 ability. He must be having arguments in the background. Trust me, he's no good. Right, so I think that's everything, guys. Let me check. I haven't missed any transfers. Brian Dean for Middlesbrough got released. Gutted. The main ones are all here over the last few. Richie Wellens. Great playmaker in this game. Not to a Prem team though, unfortunately. Leonardson actually went to Bradford as well, so he's out the picture. Yeah, Wellens is fantastic buying this. There we go. All transfers. Juan Arango, he can get good. Isakson, he can be okay sometimes. Not really much in note there, is there? Job security, yeah, we should touch on that. What's Brian to Fulham, is there? I must have missed that. Where was that? Am I blind? Oh, here. Blackpool to Fulham. You've got to get these guys in. He's 21 years old. He's definitely going to develop into a decent keeper. So that was a decent buy. Where did Taribo West go? Auxerre alongside Mexis. You need to train as a defender centre for him to be any good, but he's still never any good for me, despite having great stats. But that is a tasty centre half partnership on paper. Cisse still there. Normally he ends up going soon. He's a pretty good buy. Let's go job security. Let's see how Tigana's getting on. Very insecure. It looks imminent, guys. Bets in the chat as to who gets it, if he goes, and whether they can save them. Fulham are 4 points adrift now of Leicester, and Leicester have got that great run. So it's Bolton and Charlton that probably could slip into it if they can get themselves out. It's not often you see Fulham relegated in the first season. Arsenal still only conceded 6 goals at home all season. Leeds just 7 at home all season. Man United 10. Liverpool 11. And Ipswich and Middlesbrough are the teams sort of making up the rest. So you can rely on these guys at defences at home for clean sheets relatively often. Away from home you can really only look at Man United, Arsenal and Liverpool to actually keep clean sheets. No one else is likely, are they? Again, we knew that information before the season started, based on Sims. Kallstrom's actually gone somewhere, I think. Yeah, he went to Parma. Remember they teased that one. Oh yeah, you just wanted to know how he was doing. He's not actually played a game for him yet, it doesn't look like. So not doing anything. League 1 table? You mean First Division table? Watford storming it. Grimsby, Palace, Gillingham. Possibly down. Barnsley, 41 points. Wolves have sold most of their players, so will they make the playoffs? I'm not sure. Bradford 2. Dave's in 8th. Come on, Dave, sort yourself out. I think he's on holiday. Well, I know he's on holiday. Premier Division Team of the Week. This is for the 23rd to the 25th. I think it's, yeah, 1 week behind, is it? Oh, no, that is last week, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is, because it got Melchior in it. Stanic, I didn't realise he would be the forward for the week. Didn't do anything, did he? Get 1 assist, maybe? Oh, he came on and played a 9 and got an assist. He only played 40 minutes, but he makes the team of the week up front, ahead of the likes of Aduka, who got a brace and a 10. Interesting. David O'Leary was manager of the month for February. Player of the month was Kevin Phillips. Me and Andy thought it might. I mean, that's fair enough, actually. We were thinking it could be Dyer or Viduka, but Phillips has claimed it. Young player. Is this going to be Bramble again, or is it Terry or someone? It's for sale. He has been playing well, to be fair. And we haven't got these yet, have we? Cool. Right, I'm going to bring up the odds, guys, for next week. So I've done Sims based on the injuries that we've got now. I basically religiously following these for better or worse sometimes. Obviously been working pretty well the last few weeks. In fact, I don't want that. That's messy. Let's do this. So hopefully you can see that. It's not great in terms of size. So we'll look at this a bit closer. Bolton and Ipswich. A little bit less goals than I thought for Bolton in this one. But if you look down the list, there were a number of 3-goal games and 5 even here. Quite a lot of 3 to finish. So I think it could be an all or nothing one for Bolton there. Might do a little bit better than the average suggests because they had some standout games. Charlton and Southampton, this is what I said about before. I didn't get very many clean sheets for Charlton at home, which is an owner of Kylie. Yeah, I'm going to post it, James. Don't worry. I'll post it in Discord and maybe on Twitter. Yeah, I thought Charlton would be close to a lock for a clean sheet here, which was a bit of a concern for me. Only 3, and Southampton got a few goals. So, I mean, I could have just got unlucky in my sims, but thinking about, because I have Seaman, maybe playing Seaman ahead of Kylie now. Derby here against Leicester. Leicester looked very, very good. Derby didn't do much at all. Again, there was a few games where they got 3 goals here. But 11 clean sheets for Leicester. Taggart, anyone? He might be worth playing in this game. Fulham and Everton, and this was probably the surprise of the week for me. Fulham had the highest amount of goals on average scored. 0 clean sheets for Everton. 17 wins for Fulham, who are usually a very inconsistent side. Obviously, they're in the bottom 3. It's looking like they could get 3 points in this one and score quite a lot of goals. If these are anything to go by. No doubt, I mean, there's a couple here where they've got 1. There's only twice, look, in 20 games did they get 1 goal for them. They never scored 0 and they only got 1 twice. You know what comes next. Leeds and Arsenal this is largely killed, and this is, remember I've said this before in the past, when Arsenal play away to a big team, they play men behind the ball and defensive, and they try to kill the game. So don't be surprised if we hit 1-1s and 0-0s, because there was a lot of them. However, there was a few, 1, 2, 3, 4 games here where Leeds managed to get 3 goals to bump their average up a bit. So the way Viduka's playing in our sim, you could still easily see a brace or a hat-trick for Viduka. But the game in general was killed by the way that Arsenal set up. Man United and Villa, another one of a slight surprise to me. I expected Man United's goals to be higher than this. You know, there was a few 4s, 3s here, but generally it was 1 or 2 goals. However, Van Nistelrooy and the front 2, in fact, Dwight York, were always heavily involved. You can basically rely on Van Nistelrooy to get an 8 or 9 match rating, can't you? And he could easily get a brace in that. So I still think Van Nistelrooy is a fantastic buy and captain. It's just that they didn't score as many as I would like. Villa will set up to try and kill that game as well, as best they can. Tottenham and Middlesbrough was very, very close to a draw. Not many clean sheets floating around. Goals were still okay high, you know, relatively high. But yeah, not a particularly fantastic match, which is annoying. I've got Selakovic, so I'll probably be hoping for a penalty in that one. Rob Reed saying down, did United rotate much versus Villa? They do occasionally rotate, yes. So that will have factored into it. Depends what team lineup we get. Will obviously help them. I'm begging Chadwick plays on his, what is it, 80% or whatever it was, 83, 89, something like that. Liverpool-Chelsea, fresh after their domination, Chelsea hat-trick for Melchior, is now comfortably a bench for me. I'm going to be benching him. They couldn't score for love nor money in this fixture. And yeah, this was fairly convincing for Liverpool. Despite it not being very high scoring for them, it looks like it could be a 1 or 2-0 to Liverpool. Q Melchior getting 3 pens or 4 goals somehow, and me raging and being stupid for benching him. But that's what I'm currently doing. Sunderland versus Newcastle, and this game was full of goals, as you can see. Both for Newcastle, that's pretty good for an away side. They don't usually get that high, most away sides. But Sunderland 2.35, a lot of goals here. Within it, there's a few 1-1s. Look, 1-1 here, 1-1 here, 1-1 here, 0-0 down here. So I pray we don't get one of those. But mixed in it was some 4s, some 5s, some 3s for Sunderland. So yeah, I always follow my data. So Kevin Phillips will probably be my captain ahead of Van Nistelrooy, which is probably going to either throw me right up there or after doing well, completely bomb me out. But I always follow the data. I want to be consistent in my picks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Blackburn at home to West Ham. Again, this was a very, very good game for Blackburn by my data. Please bear in mind, guys, these are averages. It doesn't always work. These have been serving me pretty well in the last few weeks, but there's been times before where obviously it's not been great. It just gives you an idea of how the game will go more than anything. So yeah, Blackburn look a decent punt as well for anyone who wants to go there. The likes of De Boer, Weatherall, looking good. I think that's it. I'll post these in Discord later. Alright. Is there anything else anyone wants to see before we go? If there is, quickly, because I think we've been doing this for quite a while now. But drop it in the chat. Adam's thinking about ditching Viduka. Yeah, fair enough. Watch people follow me now and go for Phillips captain and then him do nothing and Van Nistelrooy get 3 goals and then blame me. Don't follow me, guys. Do your own thing. The smart play, without question, is Van Nistelrooy at home to Villa. Cheers, Scala. Cheers, Ronald. Catch you on the next one, guys. I want to see the 29 results. Yeah. No, not involved at all in that this week. Now with the boys doing it. So I'm free to chat CM. Andy wants to see team stats quickly. Leeds leading the way for goals. Penalties, goals from corners. Oh, Leeds have got 8. McPhail probably got a few of those. Leicester obviously 8 with Mr. Wise. Fulham with 5 reds. Alright, catch you guys later. Awkward wave time.